This is a Tesseract, and that's pretty much all you'll ever know for sure about it. Secret military research facility on brightly lit exposed mesa. Helicopters do not need to follow roadways. Coulson wears sunglasses at night. Nick Fury's character development literally begins and ends with eye patch. Exciting superhero movie starts with plotting exposition. Possibly racist movie kills 2 Asian extras in a row. Tesseract powers allow for mind control by tapping the center of the chest. Dangerous energy source, space doorway with gamma radiation? Screw it. Transport by hand. The bulletproof vest fake out. First action piece of major superhero film is a boring car chase. This scene does not contain a lap dance. Bruce Banner is hiding out where only little girls and S.H.I.E.L.D. can find him. S.H.I.E.L.D. answers to 4 people on vertical plasma screens. Bad guy henchmen running laps. Loki's scepter is also a space phone. The helicarrier is hella stupid. Cloaking device is dumb, but I also don't know why they're hiding. Cap pays off a bet he never technically accepted. We're sweeping every wirelessly accessible camera on the planet. Loki makes grand appearance changes that barely change his appearance. Attacks Germans but lectures them in English. Did he just jump from a plane? You know, the Nazis had pieces of flair that they made the Jews wear. Late night kidnap, brotherly argument on a mountain. Superhero pissing contest. Supervillain prisoner left unattended. Superhero pissing contest number 2. Cap and Iron Man almost kiss. Mighty helicarrier basically neutered by one freaking arrow. Clearly no radio in his ear, but he pretends to have one. Computer virus delivered by Arrow. For a super soldier, Captain America is a terrible shot. Loki tricks Thor with the old Lucy Charlie Brown football prank. So Loki's plan was to get captured on purpose and then have Hawkeye break him out, but no real objective? Long, boring fight scene between characters we are already trying not to hate. Tesseract mind control powers erased with a simple blow to the head. Fury gives intimidating death stare to a computer screen. Dying person can't finish their last profound statement before dying cliché. Bad news negates the need for medical care. Nick Fury motivates the team by lying about the location of baseball cards. Cap gets AIDS from handling bloody baseball cards. Basically indestructible heroes still need Little League pep talk to get up for the big challenge. Thor has trouble picking up his hammer, but it's never explained. Every gadget in this movie has to glow with a blue light. Loki patiently waits for Iron Man to remove the damaged suit, grab a drink, banter a bit, and then put on a new suit instead of just killing him. Too bad Loki's mind control powers only work if the scepter touches the exact center of a person's chest. Generic bad guy soldiers whose abilities and shortcomings are never explained. Why are they even trying to stop an army that we never once see kill or injure a human being? Captain America's really more of a super gymnast than a superhero. Black Widow knows exactly how to handle and fire an alien weapon seconds after picking it up. And suddenly, there was Bruce Banner on a motorcycle. Production Design 101. Don't imitate anything from Transformers. Hulk can suddenly control his powers because the story demands it. Thor's lightning turns out to be really effective against the aliens, but he only uses it once. The Council would rather definitely kill everyone in New York with a nuclear weapon than maybe have some die in an alien invasion. Loki gets caught monologuing. Nick Fury fires a missile at an American to stop him from firing a missile at Americans. All the enemy soldiers die like once the mothership is exploded. There is no gravity in space, but Iron Man falls back to Earth anyway. Are Banner and Stark dating now? Credit scene to tease the next movie turns out to be a homework assignment. Shawarma scene missed by any moviegoer who didn't realize there would be 2 end credit scenes. So basically, everyone. Marvel's officially full of themselves, subjects audience to 30-second logo. In order for you to know why the Avengers are here, you needed to watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which I have neither the time nor the patience to sit through so I can understand a movie. Also, a movie makes me do research so that I can figure out Agent Coulson is behind this Avengers op, which is confusing because he died in the last Avengers movie. Or did he? Here's Thor doing what he does best, punching and kicking dudes. Glorious shot of all the Avengers in one frame is absolutely ruined by the complete and total pointlessness of this opening battle.
Language.
Swear police. 6 seconds of Black Widow doing incomprehensible action things.
No one else is going to deal with the fact that Cap just said language.
Just goes to show how horrible Hydra is, or more, how good the heroes are, that they can endlessly crack jokes during these battles.
Concentrate, fire on the weak ones.
This is precisely why the Avengers shouldn't have any weak ones, aka Black Widow and Hawkeye.
Send in the Iron Legion.
What? You were attacking this pivotal enemy base without 5 autonomous Iron Man robots assisting you before now? What the hell for? Do any of the Avengers even need to be here right now? This movie should have been subtitled The Age of Wasted Resources.
This quadrant is unsafe.
Something you Sokovians can totally understand in English.
We have an enhance in the field.
And then that's all we ever see of Quicksilver during the entire battle. If he's simply trying to escape, why bother showing himself? If he's fighting, then why does he completely disappear from the action?
Yay.
Indeed, yay. And all you have to do is randomly push some part of the wall and it opens.
Hey, big guy.
This movie suggests that between the last film and this one, Black Widow figured out some magical interpersonal hand-wiping connection with the Hulk she can exploit to get Hulk back to Banner status, which is some bullshit. And here's yet another scene that makes no sense. Scarlet Witch shows up, hits Cap with red CGI, and then leaves to allow Cap to simply beat Strucker. What's the f***ing point? Also, a girl who has been experimented on and held captive decides to defend those who experimented on her and held her captive. Sure, we have time for visions of the future. There was a time when those were called previews, and they came before the movie, not during. Also, Scarlet Witch freaks out Iron Man with a vision of dead Avengers, instead of just, killing him. Does anyone else find it unnerving that these two played husband and wife the last time we saw them? Now they're twins? That's kind of creepy, right? Well, damn, Beats is even showing up in the Maria Callas music videos.
You've been after this thing since S.H.I.E.L.D. collapsed.
But why? Wasn't Loki's scepter on top of the Stark Tower at the end of the last movie? Did none of you go and get it? I don't watch your damn TV show, so why can't you at least explain how the f***ing scepter got into the wrong hands again for us movie fans, huh? I will never see this building as anything other than a Blue Jay.
He's fast and she's weird.
Movie thinks a throwaway punchline will make me forget it does nothing to explain Scarlet Witch's abilities, but movie is wrong. Well, there goes the end of Iron Man 3 and the promise to destroy all the suits. I guess since Pepper isn't in this movie, she can't object.
What if next time aliens roll up to the club, and they will, they couldn't get past the bouncer?
Well, do they have suitable fake IDs?
We can only do it while we have the scepter here. That's 3 days. Give me 3 days.
Thor decided that 3 days of revelry was in order after a battle that took like 10 minutes. One of this movie's biggest flaws is having Tony Stark behaving as though he can create artificial intelligence without it instantly going rogue against humanity. So, Tony has never seen Terminator? Or The Matrix? And that's the end of Jarvis. I think. I don't know.
So, no Pepper? She's not coming? No.
What about Jane?
This is the only world in which party guests were too expensive to show up.
You found a place in Brooklyn yet? I don't think I can afford a place in Brooklyn.
Wait, you're a celebrity working in a highly funded secret government agency, and you can't afford a place in Brooklyn? Are they paying you in 1940s money?
Neither was Omaha Beach, Blondie. Stop trying to scare us.
In this movie's unwarranted Stan Lee cameo, Stan Lee will play one of the guys that stormed Normandy, because of course he will. Hey, just what this story needed. A romantic angle involving Romanoff and Bruce Banner. The plot thickens? Hammer measuring contest? Also, why does it take 3 hours for an AI like Ultron to fully realize itself, take control of a robot, and attack the party? Movie gets a laugh out of Banner trying to lift Thor's hammer, but dodges geek orgasm question of what would happen if Banner were in full-on Hulk mode while trying to lift it.
And? Widow?
Oh, no, that's not a question I need answered.
Thank God, my sexual fantasies would have taken a huge hit if she did. Ultron is polite enough to wait until the non-important party guests have left the building to start his attack. Also, why did he pick the damaged suit to download into when there are plenty of perfectly good suits to do that? Romanoff thinks that mere guns can shoot down these indestructible iron suits. These iron suits are Tony's suits, right? Do they suddenly forget how to aim when they become bad guys? Wait, so one wallop from Cap's shield and these Iron Legion bots explode into bits? Are you telling me Tony Stark built a fleet of bitch bots?
There are no strings on me.
Ultron is in the cloud! Also, an evil robot in a Marvel movie? I honestly thought I'd never see the day.
Ultron cleared out, used the internet as an escape hatch.
He used the what to what now? You may have forgotten during that confusing battle that Rhodes was hit with Ultron's pulse bolt, crashed through a window, and fell about 50 feet into a metal walkway down below. But sure, he's just got an ouchie on his shoulder.
Trail went cold about 100 miles out.
You mean an Iron Man suit trail? What kind of trail do those leave? Do you look for broken twigs and footprints? And if it's that easy, how'd you lose it?
You know this church is in the exact center of the city.
Villain gives us some sort of history lesson to appear more interesting and smart cliche.
But sooner or later, every man shows himself.
This accent.
But I saw Stark's fear. I knew it would control him, make him self-destruct.
It might have been easier to just kill him, but the psychology experiment is a lot more fun.
Smaller people? Children! I lost the word there.
Right, because an AI robot would somehow forget the word children in the midst of planning a worldwide annihilation.
It makes a hole in the floor. It's big. Our parents go in.
Wait, so Magneto went out like a bitch in this timeline?
We wait for 2 days for Tony Stark to kill us.
During which time we filmed our love scene for Godzilla. Ultron really should be good enough on his own to do whatever plan he's dreaming up with the multiple robots and full-range access to the internet. But how could Marvel pass up yet another villainous team-up? They've worked so well for their movies in the past. Based on a guy Tony knew one time out of the thousands connected to Strucker, they managed to turn this one lead into the exact lead they need to find Ultron.
Cuttlefish, deep sea fish. They make lights, disco lights.
This is the point of the script that every bad guy needs to pass on some sort of trivial knowledge to the Maximoff twins so they could win Slumdog Millionaire, I guess.
I only deal with the man in charge.
Why did Ultron bother sending the human mutants first if he himself was there? Was it just for the whammy visual? Because I think it was. The guy with this gun clearly has no chance to kill Ultron, but Scarlet Witch is there to stop him just so it seems she's not completely useless. Oh, we need something for Black Widow to do. I know, send in a bunch of evil human soldiers right now. Avengers 2 steals the suspended animation Quicksilver scene from X-Men Days of Future. Oh, wait, does Thor see Quicksilver? Is that why he throws the hammer here? Also, the one guy with superpowers who clearly doesn't need any help decides, yeah, I need Thor's hammer. Let's do this.
Stay down, kid.
Yeah, stay down, and I trust you'll just stay there while we go kick some more ass.
It's time for some mind games.
Only now? Why not earlier? Why even play physical games at all? Huzzah! More dream sequences!
Done the whole mind control thing. Not a fan.
Hawkeye avoids being mind-controlled simply because the filmmakers wanted to tell a joke. Comic book hero movie splices frames from center stage into the final print. Captain America's Scarlet Witch-induced flashback will consist of recreating a scene from Swing Kids.
Are you ready for our dance?
Well, this is a fun cameo, but why is Scarlet Witch giving the Avengers happy memories?
I want the big one.
Luckily, the Avengers park their plane in an easily viewable area so that Scarlet Witch can control Hulk, which is just an excuse for the Hulkbuster scene, which this movie clearly needed. Oh yeah, Iron Man and Ultron have totally been fighting the last 5 minutes while I watched fictional mind flashbacks.
I'm calling in Veronica.
This is the second time this movie that Tony has called in some previously unknown support part of his arsenal for dramatic effect. Tony Stark designed a Hulk cage that only lasts 30 seconds. So Tony has a suit that helps him defeat Hulk, the most undefeatable guy in all of Marvel lore, but somehow doesn't deem that superior suit worthy of wearing during normal Ultron warfare. Why isn't the Hulkbuster armor the default armor? Hulkbuster armor is clearly badass, but if Black Widow can solve Hulk with a couple of arm touches and a hypno phrase, then why didn't everyone learn that? Never mind these innocent people here, pay attention to the spectacle, damn it. I mean, were they trying to out Transformers 3 Man of Steel here? Movie suggests that even in Hulk mode, Banner is somehow able to see and feel sorrow for his terrible Hulk actions. So that punch knocked him out? Ah, this is what we all paid for, right? The Avengers of Madison County. Luckily for Hawkeye, the Avengers are disgraced, and now his house functions as a means to make him matter more.
Yeah, well, Fury helped me set this up when I joined.
And even though Captain America Winter Soldier established that Fury and all of S.H.I.E.L.D. were compromised, somehow this little farmer's paradise still went unnoticed. Pretty sweet, right?
I saw something in that dream.
What dream?
I need answers.
To what?
I won't find him here.
Wait, what? I'm so confused!
What about Nat and Dr. Banner? How long has that been going on?
Too f***ing long, and also about half a movie to be precise.
I totally support your avenging.
Grr, arg.
Movie teases potentially contentious discussion between Rogers and Stark, but erroneously thinks we'd rather spend time with Hawkeye's marriage.
Yes, they're my mess.
But why? Second Avengers film suddenly decides Hawkeye is somehow the moral center of this group of crime fighters, which is stupid, rushed, forced, and stupid. Just in case you confused it with Seoul, Norway.
You still think you're the only monster on the team?
Smart people know she's talking about being an efficient killer, not that she can't have babies. However, should we sin the fact that coming right on the heels of a revelation that she's sterile, this script was a little tone-deaf about that?
Every time someone tries to win a war before it starts, innocent people die.
Wait, but what about when people try to win a war after it starts? Do innocent people still die then? Because I think they do.
Do me a favor.
Jesus, is there any reason for this guy to pop out of nowhere in this scene? Who's here that he'd be hiding from in a barn?
Ultron says the Avengers are the only thing between him and his mission.
Yet he decided not to kill them while they were all confined on a boat and confused by Scarlet Witch.
Ultron's going to evolve.
How?
Has anyone been in contact with Helen Cho?
Who?
Water of sight.
Remember when the individual movies got you excited about the Avengers? Now it's the Avengers' job to get you excited about individual movies, which in turn will preview the next ones. Coming soon, Marvel previews the movie.
If the water spirits accept me, I can return to my dream and find what I missed.
Of course, it's almost too easy. In case you confused it with Oslo, Korea. Attacking Avengers jet drops off Cap, and only Cap, about a half mile from where he ultimately needs to be. Mostly just so the film can have a cool establishing shot.
Dr. Joe.
Why is she not dead? She's got a huge gash in her chest.
The real power is inside the cradle. The gem.
Oh, Jesus. More f***ing things I'm gonna have to remember now. With all the artifacts, scepters, gems, minerals, and inventions in these movies, f*** these things right in the ear. Thankfully, since thawing out, Cap has seen Matrix Reloaded. First off, these people are dead, knowing what we know about Captain America and his unbelievable strength. Second off, why the f*** are these people driving behind this van where they see Cap dangling out the back door and obvious don't drive behind this is going on?
Always picking up after you, boys?
How stupid is it that with all the Avengers, the best plan here is for a jet to trail Cap in case he gets into trouble so that it can drop a powerless Black Widow down in a motorcycle to pick up his shield? First off, no. Second off, your idea is to shoot the road instead of her? What the hell for?
Clint, can you draw out the guards?
Let's find out.
This does absolutely nothing to Ultron, but sure enough, the guards come out of the truck exactly as the Avengers need them to.
I'm sending the package to you.
How do you want me to take it?
Well, me and everyone else who just thought of a sex joke is going to hell. Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch show up on this train out of nowhere. They completely abandoned Ultron earlier, so where the hell were they hiding when they said, "Alright, this train is where we'll finally get that rat bastard"? Well, someone saw Spider-Man too. I know Tony was at the internet hub place in Norway, but he can't Iron Man over here after that and help out. And wasn't that like last night? Yeah, no. Everybody on this train, except those with superpowers, should be totally dead. Elijah Price will be very interested to know this, but in this movie he's Nick Fury, so I could be confusing my movies again. Korean Air would like to take this subway tragedy excuse to remind you how awesome their air travel service is.
Cradle. Did you get it?
Stark will take care of it.
No, you won't.
I still just want to know where he is.
Scattered, dumped his memory, but not his protocols.
Whatever bullshit helps you sleep at night when you ex-machina a character back to life.
We're mad scientists. We're monsters, buddy. You've got to own it.
This is the speech one man of science gives another man of science to convince him to repeat a horribly failed previous experiment. Paging all real scientists. How pissed off does this make you? Oh, he also kept Black Widow alive instead of killing her. Ultron is full of bizarre and dumb moves. God, he's gonna keep her alive even longer? It's not like the Avengers need a reason to attack him. Screw that evil robot, I'm going golfing. Wait, he's got Black Widow? it, it's on now. If Quicksilver isn't doing any Quicksilvering right now, then why is he seeing the bullet at Quicksilver speed? Sudden Thor is sudden. Thor does some bull and gives birth to Vision. But I'm not sure I believe my eyes, because this is the same guy John Nash hallucinated in A Beautiful Mind. Artificial intelligence created by a combination of Ultron, Banner, and Stark knowledge, with a little bit of Thor lightning, comes with a free cape.
What's he waiting for?
You.
Jesus. I mean, why? What's the frickin' point?
Sokovia. He's got net there too.
Because Ultron keeps human prisoners and stuff. Also, if you really think about it, Ultron woke up, then disappeared for a few days to build an even more better robot. So the age of Ultron is at least 80% the age of Vision, if we're speaking technically.
Every form he's built, every trace of his presence on the net.
The net? The net? Every trace? This is some 1990s internet dialogue if I've ever heard it. That was awesome as f***. I'll remove a sin for that. Why not? When going into battle, the Avengers only trust Adidas.
Ultron knows we're coming.
But does he know when? Well, of course Ultron knows you're coming to attack if you do a pre-attack Maverick-style flyby of his base like this. I mean, Jesus. Movie glosses over how Banner is able to infiltrate Ultron's compound and find the prison sector undetected. Oh good, the Avengers are now going to war with a bunch of robot clones. This is sort of like the ending of the first Avengers, only this time they bothered to evacuate a city before destroying it. And also it's like Attack of the Clones, so there's that. Again, it's just too bad for this movie that X-Men Days of Future Past Quicksilver came first, because it makes this a lot less awesome. Sorry, Joss. This scene of Ultron's machine lifting a chunk of the city up into the air is awesome. It's just too bad for this movie that X-Men Days of Future Past Magneto lifts up the stadium scene came first, because it makes this a lot less awesome. Sorry again, Joss.
Friday.
Sokovia's going for a ride.
Man, Tony's backup Jarvis software is super poetic and vague, and maybe on drugs. So the reason Ultron is doing this is because Jarvis stopped him from accessing nuclear launch codes and stuff that would make ending the world a lot easier. But why not just build your own bombs? Ultron clearly has all the knowledge he needs to do something way easier than something out of the Lex Luthor handbook. The action in the finale of Age of Ultron is ridiculously confusing and ultimately boring, as they fight tons of robot clones, all of whom appear to have no fight in them whatsoever.
The city is flying. We're fighting an army of robots. And I have a bow and arrow. None of this makes sense.
Look, I'm laughing. I'm laughing my ass off. Of course, just because you joke about your ridiculous plot making no sense doesn't exactly excuse it either. Also, Hawkeye would be excellent at CinemaSins. Also, having your most useless superhero joke about his uselessness does not excuse his inclusion in the Avengers over other heroes with real actual powers. Instead of fighting Ultron, Captain America goes about saving one or two of the 20,000 endangered citizens. Makes sense. It's amazing with all these robots everyone has to fight, Thor just happens to be flying by when these cars go into free fall. He's going to save them, but guess what? Many, many more are getting murdered by robots right now while you can save these two people.
You'll never...
Never what?
Wait, what? Cap can now somehow call his vibranium shield back to his arm via telepathy? In this sequence, Black Widow will use taser knives to kill Ultron bots at the rate of an actual superpowered individual.
Thor, you're bothering me.
Yeah, he's the only one bothering you, but whatever. Oh, see, if you never explain a hero's powers, like even a tiny bit, then you can get away with having them mind explode a bunch of enemies in the finale.
How else am I gonna get a view like this?
An airplane? A mountain? A ride on Iron Man's back? This is a very stupid line written by a very lost screenwriter. It's kind of amazing that when all this went down, Fury was able to find this in a matter of, I'm guessing, an hour, and was able to fly it over here just when the heroes needed it most.
Sir, we have multiple bogies converging on our starboard flank.
Show them what we got.
And what we got turns out to be discount Iron Man, as opposed to some kind of badass anti-aircraft guns you might expect on an airship like this. Alright, another character I can confuse with all the other metal men flying around right now. Furthermore, if Rhodey decides to land anywhere near the Avengers below, don't they accidentally try and kill him since he looks like all the other silver bots flying around? Maria still thinks this is an appropriate weapon in battles like this.
That's the best you can do!
Come on.
This is the best I can do. This is exactly what I wanted. All of you against all of me.
What, are you a screenwriter? This shot pretty much sums up the entire movie right here. Useless robots doing useless things while the Avengers pick them off. Do you get a feeling Iron Man could have done this job himself? This scene isn't so much a battle as it is a modeling session for Avengers baseball cards. In fact, I heard if you cut fast enough, the viewer won't be able to truly settle in and establish on any one shot of the action, thereby confusing them into thinking it all flows and makes sense. Brilliant. How did the Avengers even keep track of who's kicking whose ass? I mean, I got dizzy and threw up just trying to keep track of one of Ultron's soldiers in this scene.
You know, with the benefit of hindsight.
Uh-huh. Remember how you liked it when Hulk did that in the first movie, you whores? Laugh it up.
We're in the market.
Oh no, a woman we've randomly been seeing a couple of times during this battle lost her son. Damn. Well, there's no way anyone's ever gonna find— Oh, Twins can always tell when their twin has been killed by a terrible screenwriter. Also, silent note. Every time Ultron dies in this movie, it's a bunch of nonsense. Isn't he still wandering around the internet?
Now I need you to turn this bird around, okay?
Is Hulk a fucking pilot all of a sudden? So that was the last Ultron apparently, even though I still have my doubts about that. But what exactly made this the Age of Ultron anyway? Aren't ages a period of many, many years? Hey, remember me? I was in both Thor movies and the last Avengers movie, and yet am somehow still the most forgettable character Marvel ever put to film.
Wield the hammer, he can keep the Mind Stone.
Well, as long as there's a good reason for Tony to be here right now, but not be part of the new Avengers.
Think you could find out what's coming?
I do.
It'll probably take at least 3 more movies or so before we can, but sure. What the hell is this place? Black Widow's been thinking about Hulk a long time in this thinking chamber of some sort. Avengers team that has an all-powerful Scarlet Witch on their side literally doesn't need any other team members, most especially a dude who can glide on some metal wings. Jesus.
I'll do it myself.
Finally! Even for giving the 9 seconds of black screen, this logo takes up 34 seconds for one goddamn studio. Thanos supposedly kills half of the people he encounters. So is this half of what was left of Asgard? Because it looks like a whole lot more. I'm also wondering, since Asgard lost so many at the hands of Kate Blanchett in Thor Part 3, does Thanos update what constitutes 50% population of a planet? Or should we give him a pass since he couldn't possibly know the devastation Asgard just went through?
The Tesseract, or your brother's head.
This 2-hour and 30-minute incomplete movie where Thanos locates all the Infinity Stones is only necessary so that Thanos can snap half the universe's population to death, just so he can be lazy. All this trouble he's going through to find Infinity Stones. He could have traveled planet to planet and did this job faster, like 6 years ago when we were introduced to him in the first Avengers.
We don't have the Tesseract. It was destroyed on Asgard.
If Thor doesn't send Loki down into Odin's trophy room at the end of Thor the Third, does the Tesseract survive it and float around in space? And does Thanos' quest end when he realizes he can't possess the Space Stone? Does the snap only produce impotent sparks at that point? It's a hypothetical, I grant, but I'm sending it anyway.
We have a Hulk.
Why does Hulk hold back during the battle while Thanos destroys the Asgardian ship until the end when Loki says we have a Hulk? What the f*** was he doing before then? Thanos destroys Hulk with only 1 stone in his glove. Later, with many stones in the glove, his punch will be held by super angry Captain America, after going toe-to-toe with Iron Man on Titan for a good bit. And the power distribution / comparisons in the MCU have never felt more squirrely than in this movie. Also, where's Valkyrie? Valkyrie should have at least been shouted out in this movie. Thank Odin Valkyrie got half my people away to safety, is all Thor had to say later. Just who the f*** is this guy? We've sat through 18 goddamn films, and if I'm remembering correctly, 75% of the MCU has been Thanos bitching about traffic on the freeway, and we haven't once been introduced to these powerful f***s that follow him around or why he needs them.
Find them, my children, and bring them to me on Titan.
Sure, put Infinity Stone retrieval in the hands of your henchmen. That worked so well in the 39 other movies. Didn't you literally grumble, fine, I'll do it myself? Oh no, Loki's gonna die again, like in Thor the Dark World, which definitely means he's probably not dead. And even if he is, I'm sending it anyway, because that Dark World scene did not get sent enough.
Thanos is coming.
In previous movies, we were told Hulk and Banner have different memories, so how does Banner remember shit the Hulk alone knows? Tony Stark, famous Avenger, is running around Central Park, and nobody's bothering him. This guy is more famous than any president or celebrity in history.
Tony Stark?
Do normal people see this shit? While I know New Yorkers are up on their Avengers knowledge, I'm not quite so sure they've been informed about the masters of the mystic arts.
Big Bang sends 6 elemental crystals, hurtling across the virgin universe.
If the universe is infinite, or at least close to it, then these stones were sent in directions that should have guaranteed no one could ever combine them all, just based on sheer math. Also, why 6?
2 weeks ago, Vision turned off his transponder. He's offline.
Okay, if he had a fucking transponder and knew it, he wouldn't have waited until 2 weeks ago to turn it off. So this is some bullshit here.
Cap and I fell out hard. We're not on speaking terms.
Really? What was that letter Cap sent you at the end of Civil War then? He specifically said, if you need me, I'll be there. All these dudes are superheroes, and they all sense something sinister is happening outside. But instead of instantly leaping into battle, they take several seconds to gape like children at the strange noise, like dickheads. The alien ship causes Peter's Spidey sense to go off, and Homecoming didn't give us any indication Spidey sense even existed. And now this movie is just thrusting it on me like, well, almost like they forgot it was a thing and are only now implementing it.
I need you to cause a distraction.
Holy We're all gonna die!
Ned, you are a treasure. Maybe none of the classmates on the bus see Peter do this, but plenty of other drivers and passengers on this bridge do. And in the age of smartphones and dash cams and government surveillance, this transition was definitely seen and captured on film, and Peter's cover is blown forever.
What's the matter with you kids? You never seen a spaceship before?
Yeah, sure. They've seen a spaceship, and it usually means bad things. I've seen a tornado before. That doesn't mean that when it happens, I'm going to sit on the bus reading Madame Bovary.
Bring me the stone.
Dude, a minute ago you were making metal fly with the flick of your wrist. Why do you even need the futuristic space axe dude to do this for you?
I need to concentrate here for a second.
Bruce's Hulk transformation troubles become an impotence metaphor. And does that mean when he's successful, it's like he's a huge green boner? And what does that say about his character, that he can only become erect when he's angry? This is the most embarrassing Mark Ruffalo's been since In the Cut. I realize that nanobots are legit real-world science, to a degree, but Tony's suit is applying it in ways that make it utterly unbelievable. Here's some shit we definitely won't use later when it could sway the fate of the universe. I mean, there are much more important and dangerous hands that this can be used for to cut off in this film.
Unlock 17A.
Thank
fucking god Stark had pre-designed and built and voice programmed for deployment a space-worthy Iron Spider-Man suit in the, I'm guessing, a few months since Spider-Man Homecoming?
Friday, send him home.
Yep.
Why didn't the suit just fly him back to wherever Tony wanted him to go? If you're telling me that the suit doesn't fly, then why doesn't it? If the suit does fly, then there's no need for the parachute send-off, especially if you've got Friday controlling it. Somehow after that massive battle that ended in that one park, Banner retraced his steps and found Tony's phone in the rubble, like a needle in a haystack called and thinks you're making this too difficult. Well, this is 100% definitely not a reaction to CinemaSins complaining about text place names in movies being used when they're unnecessary. This is 100% definitely not a reaction to CinemaSins complaining about text place names in movies being used when they are unnecessary. Of all the retro references to make, Groot is playing Defender. What a fucking infuriating video game. Why is he even playing ancient Earth games anyway? Aren't there modern alien games to download from the Nebula? That Thor is convenient and illogical, but I do love Fig Newtons. After that encounter with a sudden new alien being, Groot is still playing handheld video games. There comes a point when a parent's got a parent, and clearly no one aboard this ship ever did that. So Groot ends up like that affluenza kid in Texas, and everyone around him acts like, oh snap, he's such a bad seed, why didn't anyone do anything?
He's anxious, angry. He feels tremendous loss and guilt.
So basically every single American then? Or even every human? Aren't we all anxious, angry, and feeling lost these days? Mantis's empath revelations are more obvious than Forrest Whitaker's in Species.
Who the hell are you guys?
That's an awfully rude way to greet people you don't know. I once woke up in this room and this dude tried to do all this gnarly shit to me with these strange tools, and I was like, who the hell are you? And he said, I'm your fucking dentist, asshole. Dr. James Packer DDS was tough, but fair.
Thanos retrieves another stone. He'll be too powerful to stop.
He already is.
How exactly did they expect to stop Thanos, who doesn't even need Infinity Stones to be powerful, but already has 2 of them? Plus, Thanos needs Gamora to get the Soul Stone. Keeping Gamora away from Thanos is strategy 101, but because there's no time, they hastily conjure up some no-ass plan. Vision and Wanda are supposedly on the run and hiding out from, I guess, the government, but this apartment or hotel room is large as This looks like a honeymoon, not a couple on the lam. Romancing the stone! Also, they went from kind of maybe flirty to kissy-face hotel buddies, and deeply in love. Entirely off-screen. Look, this is the fucking MCU. I refuse to believe anything is an accident, and I'm losing sleep trying to unravel the meaning of "we will deep fry your kebab." Is it a promise? A threat? A guarantee? A cipher key? The sign is taking up way more screen space than Wanda's face. It has to mean something. How the did that alien assassin sneak up on an android without being heard or seen or sensed?
The blade. It stopped me from phasing.
That's literally the only explanation this movie's gonna give for why the 2 most powerful Avengers end up needing help from some punchy fools like Black Widow and no longer Captain America. Wanda is hand-to-handing this henchman. She's a magic witch that fooled all the minds of the Avengers with false visions of awful futures at once. Why does she have to throw her mind powers at people? Why did Cap need to make a dramatic entrance into this scene? And why on the other side of the tracks? Why isn't he helping already? And in the time it took both Scarlet Witch and Proxima to figure out who it was, either of them could have potentially won the fight while the other was distracted. Audience applause break. Guns. These henchmen failed to get the stone they were sent after, and they peace out to save their own skin. And I'm pretty sure even they know that Thanos values the stones over his henchmen. So what the fuck are these minions thinking, bailing out like this?
Stay close, check in, don't take any chances. We just wanted time.
You know, to figure out the whole having sex with a synthetic vibranium body thing. It's a lot tougher than you'd think. I hope Thanos is keeping count during all this disorder and chaos, because I can't figure out how many are dying at first glance. But I'm sure he knows how to keep the death at halfsies.
What's wrong, little one?
The fact that Thanos would ever have stopped on his kill quest for even a moment because of a cute kid is a big pill to swallow.
You're quite the fighter, Gamora.
She asked a question. That's it. She's displayed 0 fighter characteristics. She's inquisitive, confused, scared, guileless, but a fighter she is not. This half-genocide scene illustrates a curious character detail in Guardians of the Galaxy, when they told us Gamora was the only survivor.
If Thanos gets me, I want you to promise me you'll kill me.
One other thing you could do, just find a distant planet to live on, lay low, find a cave, maybe find Spock, and don't allow Thanos to ever get near you.
Swear to me on your mother.
Movie characters think that a promise will be a bond if they swear on a loved one, but of course it doesn't work that way, cliché. I realize she has a hate boner of justice, but goddamn, what was she thinking? She's the one that's been reminding others how fucking powerful Thanos is. Premature self-reprobation.
You knew I'd come.
I counted on it.
So he assumed that the Guardian ship would get the distress signal from the Statesman, they'd follow it, they'd just so happen to run into Thor, he'd tell them about the Reality Stone, and that she would agree to come here? This is impossibly brilliant. He didn't even tell Thor he'd be coming here. He just told his minions to get the 2 stones on Earth and meet him at Titan. The only reason he pulls the trigger here is because the movie knows it's going to undo the act and keep Gamora alive for now. His love for her and dopey puppy dog nature 100% does not jive with his willfully pulling the trigger here. Why do Drax and Mantis go back to normal when Thanos leaves? The stone powers aren't proximity based, but somehow the damage he did was only temporary. This is a hologram of Ross, whose physical body is in a completely different room somewhere in the country, and yet he's able to walk around this room like he's physically in this one. Is he in a replica room with a virtual reality display? And if so, there should be a camera somewhere in here tracking his eye movements so he can face the right way when he's talking to people, right? No one in this movie should own a Rickenbacker bass and have it displayed on a floor stand in some kind of library. This guitar is the biggest lie the MCU ever told. I've played one of these. Tell me, Congressman, have you ever played a Rickenbacker bass?
Where's the fight?
F***ing Bucky. Are we just gonna gloss over the fact that a Stark shoulder missile from Earth easily blasts a hole in the hull of this alien spaceship? The hell is this spray stuff Tony's using here to seal the breach in the ship's hull? Nano magic? Canned convenience? It's magic whiz and it's cheesing me off. Way to introduce a new character in the movie in the 19th film of a franchise and completely kill him off in an hour. Darth Maul and Ebony Maw are now in some 7th circle of movie franchise hell, where they were told they were special and mull their fates with Mole Flanders at the Hades Mall.
So I say we take the fight to him.
Granted, the ship you're on is going to him, and you haven't stated declaratively that you can turn the ship around, despite being asked twice by Strange. Maybe this is less of a choice than the movie or Tony wants to make it seem.
Your planet was on the brink of collapse. I'm the one who stopped that. Do you know what's happened since then?
I don't know. Has 50% of the planet multiplied and brought it back to pre-Thanos population numbers? I guess you plan on snapping the universe back to half its people every 20 years or so? This seems so f***ing pointless.
Don't do this.
Vormir!
Ultimately, sisterly love is what causes her to give up the location of the Soul Stone, and therefore the fate of the entire universe. She begged her boyfriend to kill her, rather than let Thanos win.
And I'm getting a new hammer.
In Thor 33 1/3, Odin told him his hammer was just something that focused his power. Now that's been forgotten, and a hammer is important again.
You're gonna need more than one stupid eyeball.
But you're handing him a fake eyeball, so he still only has one stupid eyeball, right? What the f***? Some random computerized alien eyeball has a connection port that matches Thor's flesh-based eye socket connection port?
Thor?
This is the second Marvel movie to waste Peter Dinklage.
And he killed everyone anyway, all except me.
Let me do some math here. 300 dwarves were here, 1 is left, carry the 9, multiply by pi r squared, that's 99.67% of the dwarf population, which means he must have let 299 other dwarves on some other hammer building station live. That's all well and good, but how did she get out of the mid-air suspension thing that she was in? Doesn't that thing make you, for all intents and purposes, immobile? In fact, I'm kind of wondering how she was even able to kill that guy.
Wind up implanting eggs in my chest or something and I eat one of you, I'm sorry.
I do not want another single pop culture reference out of you.
I'm trying to say that something is coming.
Really? Because there was absolutely nothing urgent about what you were saying at all.
In theory, it could even summon the Bifrost.
Because why not? Thor's gonna have to get to Earth faster than a ship can take them somehow. So bake in the Bifrost into this baby and we're set. What are the odds a far-flung planet moon like Titan would have air breathable by humans? So wait, at the end of Captain America, Red Skull touches the Space Stone and is sent into space to be a sort of keeper of the Soul Stone? It really just seems like a reason to shoehorn Red Skull back into the story more than anything that makes sense.
Guiding others to a treasure I cannot possess.
Are you saying you've had a lot of people looking for the Soul Stone since you got sent here in 1945? What happened before you were here? Was Warren G. Harding guiding people back then?
Soul holds a special place among the Infinity Stones.
Why?
You might say it has a certain wisdom.
But why?
The stone demands a sacrifice.
Why does the Soul Stone require so many more parameters to acquire it than any other stone? It's like the original creators of the stones themselves said, okay, if you're powerful enough to hold the other 5 gems, we'll let you change reality, move across space at will, increase your strength, and harness the most powerful energy in the universe, go into the past and the future, and access other people's minds. But when it comes to controlling all life in the universe, that's where we draw the line. Dude's got kind of a thing for bubbles, I see. I feel like the sacrifice of Gamora would have played a lot better if Thanos had been given his own proper origin film, and if we'd had more reason to suspect his love for her. This death is sad, until you realize that A, the Time Stone will end up figuring into her coming back to life anyway, and B, that despite all the problems since the firing of James Gunn, Guardians of the Galaxy 3 was ready to go into production after this movie. What the hell happens here? He kills her, the weather gets weird, a flash, and suddenly he's in a pool of water with a stone? How and where is there any water here anyway? It's like an ice dimension with snow. Is he not on Vormir anymore? I'm actually so confused by this cut, I suspect the next movie might hinge in some small way on it. But whatever. It's still a weird cut location change in the movie, and I shall sin it.
Something's entered the atmosphere.
Just one line about how Thanos or something with the stones tells him exactly where each one is would be fucking terrific. It didn't help him at all with the Soul Stone. He needed Gamora to tell him that. So why the precision knowledge with the others? These ships hit the Earth at massive speed. I don't understand why they don't do to the planet what meteors that large would do, like in Deep Impact or Age of Ultron. And yet, they don't. They just cause little fire ripples and loud noises. This battle at Wakanda doesn't make a whole lot of strategical sense. Thanos already has enough stones to wreck these Earthlings on his own. He needs Vision's stone. That's basically the only reason he sends this army. Feels like we needed something action-y to do with a bunch of our characters that didn't make the trip to Titan, and we came up with this.
I'm gonna hold it open. That's suicide. So is facing Thanos without that axe.
Okay, dude, you f***ing had a magical hammer made by this guy at this place, and your sister smashed it like it was chocolate. I take offense to the idea that an axe from here could defeat Thanos, and the fact that it nearly does. These Star Wars-esque skid-style troop transports are super inefficient, in that only 20% of their surface area can hold troops. Look at that distance between the SHIELD and the Wakandan troops that everybody, including Natasha, just traversed in 3 seconds. And that pissing match confrontation at the SHIELD was 100% unnecessary to the story and the battle. Oh, good! Just what I wanted to see in this giant Marvel movie. Swarms of easily killable CGI monster clones. Thanos could easily just do the job right now, but why do that when you can reenact Braveheart? They went to the trouble of showing him getting a Wakandan-made vibranium arm, and in battle all we really see him do is fire a machine gun. I'm no War Machine fan, but this looks hella useful, and he should just do that all battle long.
We open the barrier.
In order to keep the aliens from going around and flanking them, they open the f***ing shield barrier directly in front of them. And honestly, it's one of the most baffling military decisions on film since Denzel started firing on friendly tanks and Courage Under Fire. Why not leave Cap and you and Falcon and War Machine here to get the stragglers getting through one at a time and send the entire rest of the army to the back to fight the alien foot soldiers? I love how they both leap in here punching, like they somehow know these aren't aliens with poison skin or acid blood. There are frogs here on Earth that have poison skin. Also, say, why didn't Thanos staff his army with aliens that had poison skin or acid blood? A bunch of whatever. If Thor can withstand the energy of a star, then what can kill him? It's almost like this movie is saying all that stuff that could have killed Thor in the other movies. Well, forget all that, because he can take the brunt of a star's energy, because this movie really needs him to. Groot finally looks up from his video game, and don't tell me it's because he cares about Thor. The movie just needs him to get involved here in a second. Teenagers do not act moody for a long time and then suddenly sacrifice a limb for a creepy stranger they bumped into a couple days earlier.
I think he's dying.
He needs the axe.
Why? He's not the god of axes, is he? So now he and the weapon are one because he helped create it? I thought he and the hammer were one, but ultimately that hammer didn't matter. And he didn't help make the hammer either. My point is, these movies give zero fucks about how the magic space weapons wielded by gods work or don't work. Audience applause break. How the f did Thor know where to go once he got his new axe? Why'd he go to Earth instead of Titan? Why not New York or Norway? Thor doesn't even know Wakanda exists, does he? Bad CGI floating head Bruce gives me nightmares.
And when we faced extinction, I offered a solution.
Genocide.
But random. Dispassionate, fair to rich and poor alike.
You know what would be awesome, since the death snap doesn't discriminate? If it killed Thanos too. Imagine Thanos actually deciding for the greater good that he could even die with such a snap. But guess what? You don't have the balls for that.
With all 6 stones, I could simply snap my fingers. They would all cease to exist.
Why though? Why a snap and not an okay sign or salute or a middle finger or the shocker? I feel like with just the 4 stones he currently possesses, he could easily end this fight right now. The guy can currently manipulate all the energy in the world, reality itself, and let's not forget, control all life in the universe with 3 of those stones.
Don't let him close his fist.
What? He can't use the stones if he doesn't close his fist? Since f***ing when, movie? And f***ing why, movie? Honestly, for a bunch of all-powerful when they're combined together magic space gems, the Infinity Stones are super restrictive. That punch somehow doesn't kill Peter. God damn, that was a punch. This f***ing guy. How can all these superheroes be so emotionally wound up to make this same fatal mistake when they hear about losing their loved ones? Yeah, sure, it's within his character to do this, but I'm sending the movie that this is the reason why Thanos escapes. Mantis is thrown several hundred feet away from Thanos, Spidey reacts to this, and apparently can jump said amount of feet before Mantis lands. Movie finally answers the question I have never asked about what happens when a film character uses a Bruce Almighty moon as a projectile. And I've got to say, I should have asked this question years ago. But also, everybody survives the moon's meteor shower, so you can see the bind I'm in. I know we like him, and she loves him, but honestly, kill his ass and destroy the stone, you idiots. The universe is at stake. Not once during this battle do we see if they're making any real progress against these CGI nothings. Just a bunch of quickly edited fights that act as filler until Thanos gets here. Sure, it's kinda cool to see Bucky pick up Rocket and perform a 360 death ballet, but in the end, who cares about this stupid army? It's like watching the Harlem Globetrotters beat the Washington Generals while Michael Bay coaches both teams. After Thor's arrival where he Thunder Groot-axed everyone, seeing him punch foes one at a time here makes me wonder why he doesn't just keep doing that first thing.
Your haircut? Notice you've copied my beard.
Good thing there's no one to fight for a few seconds so we can have a humorous exchange about hair. F***ing dicks.
Why was she up there all this time?
Because Scarlet Witch was there to destroy the Mind Stone as Shuri got it out of Vision. Jeez, lady, who do you think you are? You're worse than CinemaSins. I'm not saying I liked the Wakandan battle rhinos. I'm just saying they would have been super useful in this battle. Vision Ex Machina! He should be vomiting magenta computer code at this point, but somehow he has the strength to stand, grab a weapon, and kill a fool? Come on, movie. Have just 25% more consistency, damn it. Holy shit, this fight between Strange and Thanos is, first of all, amazing as I'll take off 2 sins for it. But also, it's so evenly matched for so long that it makes the group fight against Thanos that came before it seem silly and wimpy and underwritten. So Iron Man's shield can apparently withstand that. Good to know. It's not like these stones are the most powerful fucking objects in the universe or anything.
Cap, that's it.
Like that arrival needed some kind of narration or verbal confirmation.
I understand my child better than anyone.
You could never.
If we're about to see a reenactment of Spike Lee's Old Boy here, I'd only like to see one specific scene. The Soul Stone is the only one to demand a sacrifice so you understand its power. But the Mind Stone is the largest one and takes up the leader position of all the stones in the glove. Honestly, should anything be able to defeat that glove right now, let alone a new axe that we only just learned about? We now interrupt this Avengers movie to bring you a special presentation of Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, starring Josh Brolin as Dumbledore. Here comes the part of the movie where the snap of death plays a game. Who's gonna live and who's gonna die? And apparently, it takes its time picking and choosing, because all the dramatically relevant deaths wait for each other so we can see them all, rather than happening at the same time. Also, his gun stays solid, but the new vibranium arm turns to dust? While it's distressing to see your favorite characters wasting away, don't you just know they're all going to be back? This kind of death scene is reminiscent of Twilight Breaking Dawn Part 2, where the movie stages a free-for-all with death galore, only to show us that it was a vision. Like a new chapter of Final Destination with sexy vampires. It has emotional impact as an idea, but absolutely none because you know it will be reversed.
There was no other way.
Glad you could mention this just before you waste away into nothing. I hear the Snap loves letting people have final words before they go. Geez, did Thanos move out into Camazotz or whatever the fuck that was in A Wrinkle in Time? You know what that means? Chris Pine is going to complete the Chris Quadfecta in Avengers 4. Woohoo! I guess it's a good thing Nick Fury always carries around his Captain Marvel Ex Machina pager with him wherever he goes, and that the Snap waited for him to use it.
Lila?
Hawkeye's entire goddamn family gets snapped away, his wife and 3 children. In Ant-Man 2, More Ant-Man, we saw Scott lose everyone around him when he went into the quantum realm. We saw both Fury and Maria Hill disappear, and meanwhile, Craig and his family are completely okay. You hear that, Craig? You and your stupid family, Craig. 34 seconds of Marvel logos. Holy thank God it finally showed up. I thought I was going to pass out. I feel like Ethan Hunt getting a hit of oxygen after that free dive in Rogue Nation.
So the fuel cells were cracked during battle, and we figured out a way to reverse the ion charge. Bought ourselves about 48 hours of flight time.
Why the did they take off in this ship without inspecting every last detail? I know the urge to go home is strong, but they could have stayed on Titan for a while to potentially find supplies, fix whatever needed to be fixed, and find fuel from at least 2 ships that crash-landed during that fight, Nebula's Necrocraft and the Q ship. I feel like this whole thing was made up just to get Captain Marvel involved. Wait, each of these sinks in this bathroom have individual shaving mirrors? Is that really necessary? Seems like the Avengers could divert their interior design budget to, like, I don't know, alien missile defense, which would come in very handy later in the movie. Gwyneth Paltrow doesn't know what movie she's in this scene.
He did exactly what he said he was going to do. Thanos wiped out 50% of all living creatures.
Even though the world governments are in pieces, they were able to take not only an impromptu census, but also a cat and dog census. And who cares if it was 50% or not? If you wiped out 10%, the situation is still
Honestly, into this exact second, I thought you were Build-A-Bear.
Har, Tones. This falls just as flat as what he called Ebony Maw Squidward in Infinity War. Rando pop culture references don't always equate to comedy, movie.
We're the Avengers, not the pre-Vengers.
Okay.
Right?
You made your point. Just sit down, okay?
No, here's my point. You know what?
Just
She's
sit down.
Pick a lane, movie. Either Tony is so upset that he can't think straight, or he's just lighthearted enough to make whimsical comments about Captain Marvel and call Rocket a Build-A-Bear. It can't be both.
I can tell you where Thanos is.
Where has she been this whole time? Did they not allow her in the meeting? Geez, so much of that previous scene could have been totally avoided.
To the garden.
That's cute. Thanos has a retirement plan.
Do the Avengers have a quota of snarky wisecracks that have to be inserted within certain intervals? That's annoying. I'm built on snarky movie wisecracks and I don't even have a quota.
Until 2 days ago, on this planet.
Wait, did you figure this out because Nebula said she knew where Thanos was? Or did you just run a diagnostic on power surges? Why didn't you do that before? All Nebula knew was the garden, so that didn't help you with your power surge report.
And where the hell have you been all this time?
There are a lot of other planets in the universe. And unfortunately, they didn't have you guys.
How did the story of Thanos looking for the Infinity Stones elude you in your travels?
This is gonna work, Steve.
I know it will, because I don't know what I'm gonna do if it doesn't.
Go back to the Fantastic Four?
After that, the stones serve no purpose beyond temptation.
You murdered Troy!
Has anyone in this universe learned not to shove somebody who's being held in place for a good goddamn reason? Why did Captain Marvel even let go of Thanos anyway? Doesn't matter in the end, but Jesus!
I used the stones to destroy the stones.
Weird. I used my farts to cover for other farts, but there were still farts left over, so what gives? Lizzie Thornton. Movie gives us the actual time it takes for this text to show up on screen. So nearly 4 billion people are left on the planet and nobody's good enough to play baseball? Or is this more of a comment on the Mets' attendance?
And that's it. That's those little brave baby steps we gotta take.
Good for Cap getting involved in group therapy, but what is this group? Is he the leader? Did he form it? Did he print out all those flyers, or did he do a Facebook post? Is there free coffee? Is there still Facebook? Are they in the city? God damn it, this group is never mentioned again, and I'm furiously curious about it. I think the thing that's most infuriating about this rat is that a simple press of a button gets Scott back. At the end of Ant-Man 2, Die Antwoord, the Pyms had initiated a return sequence that they were unable to finish because they were snapped away. But this button turns everything back on as if computers just bookmarked they were doing 5 years ago. I guess it's possible a good number of waste management employees were dusted, causing trash to pile up temporarily, but it's been 5 years, and that's 5 years of the population creating only half the trash that they'd previously produced. So why is it built up on the streets like this is the road or some shit? This list of vanished people has an order I'd describe as pseudo-alphabetical. It's got a lot of names that start with L-A-B, but a few L-A-M and L-A-Z and L-A-N mixed in. Whoever did this memorial is a wonderful person, but a dick to efficiency. Scott is looking at this stone with these names here, and this will eventually be the one where he sees his own name at eye level. But Scott Lang is nowhere in the middle of this tablet until the movie cuts, and neither are the other people. Once again, teleholograms will have a normal conversation with each other like they're literally standing in a room like this, when in fact they're all by themselves, in some sort of holo booth that I would just once like to see in operation. If they're wearing VR, we'd see it on their holograms. If they have a panoramic video screen around them that is tied to a certain channel, then where is camera?
Sorry, that must have been a very long 5 years.
Yeah, but that's just it. It wasn't. For me, it was 5 hours.
Directors accidentally filmed Paul Rudd talking about his real life and put it in the movie. Also, if the quantum realm makes years seem like hours, why did Michelle Pfeiffer look 30 years older when she got rescued from it? And if there was a relative time difference, why were Hank and Scott able to talk over a radio in real time at the end of Ant-Man 2, Antebellum Parabellum?
What if there was a way that we could enter the quantum realm at a certain point in time, but then exit the quantum realm at another point in time?
So you spent 5 hours in the quantum realm because of relativity. That was 5 years on Earth. The problem is, in both the quantum realm and in the outside world, time was moving forward. So why do you think there are points that you can go to just because of your 5-hour experience with relativity?
So who do we talk to about this?
How about a quantum physicist? Look, I know Tony is brilliant, but this has never been his forte. If anything, Scott himself should know more about appropriate sciences through his associations with Hank. Why not see if Larry Fishburne is still alive?
We could go back, we could get them.
Sure, getting your friends and loved ones back is a noble idea, but it's also morally murky. Remember, life has been going on for 5 years now. People have moved on. People are in new marriages. Some dangerous people who used to torment others are out of the picture. This would cause even more chaos and be like Castaway times 3.5 billion.
Model rendered.
Holy Tony solves the eternal question of time travel in less time than it took to actually write the scene. Why the does Pepper need 5 lamps and 1 lit candle to read a book about composting?
Trying to get you to stop has been one of the few failures of my entire life.
Pithy one-liner aside, he totally stopped. He's out here raising a family in a goddamn cabin in the woods, washing his own dishes and tucking his kid into bed at night. He's not out there Iron Manning anymore, so this line is a big old sack of
Okay, here we go. Time travel test number 1.
This test is not successful, but it's also not unsuccessful, in that they do actually transport Scott over time. So this means that 2 scientists have made giant breakthroughs in time travel over the same roughly 12-hour period.
A fully functioning time-space GPS.
It's weird to me that Tony knew enough of Hank Pym's work to properly make a device that would help people travel through time in the quantum realm, a place where only 2 people have ever been, with one of those people evaporated by the snap and the other being lovable doofus Scott. I thought the first Ant-Man was about how Hank took his work and hid it from everyone, including Tony Tony's dad. And the evil Darren Cross tried to make his own tech that ended up liquefying a baby lamb. And they ended up blowing up Dude's lab. I'm pretty sure they didn't give this tech to Tony. So the result is Tony's a genius, don't think time travel possible. By rule, I think the movie has to do this because the how isn't all that explainable. And the movie is 3 hours, but Jesus. It took Doc Brown 30 years to perfect time travel, and it didn't even require that much explanation because you trusted the amount of time that went into it. This is 100% on Scott here. How did he not notice a motherfucking spaceship about to land a few yards away before he opened the taco?
He won't see you.
Huh. Seems a little weird to reduce a badass character like Valkyrie into a glorified gatekeeper with little agency otherwise. I'm sure this gets rectified later in the movie, though. Let's see. Scrolling, looking. Oh yeah, she takes out one of those Chitauri whale things and gets a half-assed offer to run Asgard now that it's a fishing village. And not the landmark for civilization known across the universe.
Thor!
Thor's fat. Get it? It's a joke for almost the whole movie, except when the movie wants you to take it seriously. Then back to joke. Get it? Of all the bullshit this movie did not need, it's Hawkeye's career as a vigilante. But even more, I can't believe Hawkeye is the kind of guy who can take on a horde of Yakuza on his own. You might say Hawkeye has fought tons of enemies stronger than this, and I say with help.
One side there, Lebowski.
Hilarious reference, but this is a reference to a movie that starred Jeff Bridges, who was in the original Iron Man. Stop with the constant references, especially when they make no goddamn sense. Gah!
Changing the past doesn't change the future.
You see, we needed a way to do time travel where we didn't up the present. So now we're doing the kind of time travel where we create alternate timelines. I'm sure it won't be just as confusing as all the other time travel movies, and there will be no debate about this at all by the time it's over.
Think about it. If you travel to the past, that past becomes your future. And your former present becomes the past, which can't now be changed by your new future.
Are we really just going to leave out the alternative timeline explanation here? Because this reason focuses on the effects of time travel on one individual. It basically says all those new timeline people can go f themselves.
So Back to the Future is a bunch of bullshit.
I'll have you know Alan Silvestri scored that movie and this one, so you owe an apology to Alan Silvestri and the entire goddamn world who loves that movie.
We only have enough pin particles for one round trip each. And these stones have been in a lot of different places.
They later accidentally themselves into Hank's lab in 1970 and grabbed some Pym juice then. But why wouldn't they just start by going back to a time when Hank was alive and grab a bunch of them then? So that they'd have almost unlimited chances at this. I'm not just throwing out a crazy amateur theory. This makes all the sense. And there are at least 2 super geniuses on this team.
She stuck her hand inside a rock this one time. And then the ether stuck itself inside her.
As cringy and silly as this description is, still beats watching the entirety of Thor: The Dark World. It's almost like you guys were blocked perfectly to get this one shot. I'm sure it was a fluke, and it definitely won't happen again to like all your female characters in a lame attempt to get a girl power splash page later in the movie. I like the Avengers theme a lot. Like, it's one of the most recognizable themes in modern movies, but they lean hard into that in this movie. This would be like Star Wars playing the opening fanfare during all your favorite moments in Return of the Jedi. Movie gives me another chance to send this stupid gun cocking that Black Widow does during the hero shot. Hordes of aliens are raining down on New York, but sure, the fate of the world might end up resting on that Glock. Oh, thanks for the rooftop assist, Ancient One. You ever think of maybe sending some of the Masters, out to the battle, since this directly threatens Earth? Does the threat only have to be mystical before you get off your ass?
We just wait around for this Quill guy to show up.
Why would the Nebula footage start right here, at the most expositional part of Rhodey's dialogue? Why didn't it start like when she was peeing? Not that I want to see that or anything, I'm just saying that would happen more frequently than, damn it, you perverts, let's just move on.
As far as I'm concerned, that's America's ass.
This wordplay is funny. Really funny, actually. And even though this movie is overly quippy, I gotta give this one a send back.
Maximum occupancy has been reached.
And this tiny detail directly leads to the cluster that takes Tony and Cap back to the 70s. It's like the butterfly effect, only hulkier.
I'm gonna have to call the director.
That's okay. Trust me. Hail Hydra.
Look, this is a great scene. It's even a fun throwback to Winter Soldier in the middle of the 2012 Avengers timeline. But this asshole decides, we don't have to call the director about this, even though he's never been told that Cap is on board with Hydra. I mean, he doesn't even think it might be a trick or something.
So many stairs!
I know, and what's really f***ed up is how you could just jump down that open part in the middle and not have to mess with them at all.
And I'm gonna need that case.
Movie makes it seem like ownership of the Tesseract was hotly contested right after the battle in New York. And I'm sorry, if you listen to Nick Fury talking to Shadowy Powers Booth at the end of the Avengers, it sounded like it was up to Fury whether Thor took the Tesseract back, not Alexander Pierce. And Fury thought it was a good thing Thor was taking it away. Also, this is all happening like minutes after the Council decided to nuke Manhattan in the original Avengers, mind you. But the Secretary himself is here in no time? Was he seriously not outside the blast radius when they gave the order? This supposedly secure top-secret government case opens in midair after Hulk crashes through the door. Yes, Hulk is strong, but the case was not touched by the door or Hulk as he came crashing through. If the sheer whiplash of this violence opened the case, then Tony should be dead. This scene brought to you by a future TV series on Disney+.
The Infinity Stones create what you experience as the flow of time. Remove one of the stones, And that close splits.
Oh, is that so? So in 2023 present day, with the stones destroyed, what did that do with the flow of time? Or do the atoms still count?
In this new branch reality, without our chief weapon against the forces of darkness, our world would be overrun.
The branch reality discussion confuses this movie a little bit because according to the rules of time travel in this film, this reality is already different from the main timeline. For instance, in this reality, Loki has the Tesseract after the Battle of New York. So it seems like the main issue isn't so much branch realities, but the fact that this timeline wouldn't have a time stone anymore.
I can't risk this reality on a promise.
I'll also require a hunch about what Doctor Strange is going to do in a few years. I have that. Reality risked.
There's another consciousness sharing her network.
Wait, Nebula is on a network? So you're saying that when Thanos was systematically replacing Nebula's human parts with machine parts, he decided to include a f***ing modem?
Where is this other nebula?
In our solar system.
Of course she is. But does it matter anyway? Considering that portals and jumps and Bifrost and Captain Marvel assists and all that bull. Seems like pretty much anyone can get from one end of the universe to the other lickety-split.
I'm totally from the future.
It is awesome in a multi-layered way how the time travel gambit not only allows for this movie to correct a wrong, but to also allow some key characters to see their loved ones once more in a completely natural and unplanned way. It's an unexpected bonus, and it deserves a send-off. Natalie Portman's in this movie so briefly that I'm convinced the directors broke into her apartment and just took footage of her waking up in the morning without telling her. Thor totally the Dark World's Thor. There's a battle about to take place here, and you screwed him because you want your hammer back? Sure, Steve brings the hammer back, but Thor doesn't know that someone's going to make a return trip until later when Bruce finds out about the branch realities from the Ancient One. Oh, you. Thanos and Maul have been around with 2014 Nebula a bunch already, and this is the time you start to glitch.
I am inevitable.
Damn, Nebula's got some sick editing software in her memory banks, considering she was all the way over here, but the camera's fixed on Thanos' left side.
You're repeating yourself, you know that? You're repeating yourself.
You're repeating yourself.
I want to believe that this movie, which has literally been replaying scenes from that movie with the same characters, has some sense of this ironic dialogue, but my sin-hardened heart won't let it happen.
What are we improvising?
Scott, get this back to the compound. Shoot up.
What's in New Jersey?
Okay, there's no rush to do this. There's no reason not to tell Scott where they're going and why, other than to be dicks. Guys, I've got it. Since we lost the wonderful Stan Lee, let's just cast Mark Maron to stand in for his cameos in future MCU movies. Look at him. It's perfect.
You new here?
Not exactly.
Oh no, this is a real problem for our heroes. This lady's gonna alert the authorities and it's gonna be a huge impediment to them getting back to the future. Look, I know Marvel has an excellent track record with their de-aging tech, but this job on Michael Douglas is straight out of Tron Legacy. Tony's going to fit this Tesseract in this briefcase? I don't think so.
Let's just say that the greater good has rarely outweighed my own self-interest.
This whole sequence is emotional, very emotional indeed, but Howard spilling his guts to an ostensible stranger, along with Cap accidentally into the office adjacent to Peggy, feels so forcibly contrived it might as well be from a standard-ass rom-com.
But that doesn't mean you're useless.
2014 Nebula goes through the trouble of removing 2023 Nebula's orange headpiece to fool the other Avengers when she takes her place, but she's not going to bother replicating the burned metal Terminator hand that 2023 Nebula has after grabbing the Power Stone. Christian Bale from The Prestige would not be impressed.
But the raccoon didn't have to climb a mountain.
But how do they know to climb this mountain, or any mountain at all? There's an entire planet to explore, but they're positive the Soul Stone is right here?
Natasha, daughter of Ivan, Clint, son of Edith.
Your other parents, they don't matter.
In order to take the stone, you must lose that which you love.
Whew, good thing they just happened to send these two bosom buddies up here and not like Rhodey and Scott.
Tell my family I love them.
You tell him yourself.
Sacrificing. This being the second time we've seen a successful acquisition of the Soul Stone, I'm wondering, what the f does Red Skull do after this? Does he wait until someone brings it back? And remember, Steve is supposed to come back here later and replace the stone like this never happened. Where does he put it? The fact that this stone is acquired by a sacrifice rather than stolen makes it a problematic stone to return, no?
Can't be undone.
Well, yeah, it can actually. Since you guys obviously don't give a f about other timelines, you can just go back to a time where she's lived and just take her with you. Since you can't change the past, you could just go back to before you did this and take her from there. The other timelines can go f themselves. They hate you because they ain't you.
What do you think is coursing through my veins right now?
Cheese whiz.
This is an emotional scene. Natasha is dead. They're about to bring back their loved ones. Thor, who's been racked with guilt and is depressed over his failure to kill Thanos, is pleading seriously with his team to do the unsnap. And Cheese Whiz somehow enters this script right now.
Okay, remember, everyone Thanos snapped away 5 years ago. We're just bringing them back to now, today. Don't change anything from the last 5 years.
This sounds like a thought that's so complex that nobody could possibly do it right. How do they even know how this snap works? Hooray! Hulk snap brought back all the dead folks to life. But let's think about the practicalities here. What happened to people who were like on a flight when Thanos did his Do they appear in midair and do a Wile E. Coyote shrug before falling to their deaths? Or did Hulk guide them to safety? And how unfair is it that the people who were snapped away off an airplane get to live, but the people who crashed into the airplane just stay dead? And if the people who died were brought back, then check the cemeteries because we have a zombie apocalypse on our hands.
With the stones you've collected for me, create a new one, teeming with life, that knows not what it is lost, but only what it has been given.
So with the stones, he could have literally done anything he wanted, and he chose option Z, cut the population of the universe in half. What a f***ing dick! I was on board with Thanos' thoughtful madness because it made a certain sense for a villain to exercise a cruel intelligence on life in his quest for balance. But now that we know he could create a whole universe, that whole balance thing that he once espoused and I believed in no longer works. He could have created 2 Earths connected by an accordion tunnel and told astrophysics to go f*** itself while half the population moved to the literal new world. Source material doesn't matter in the CinemaSins universe, but the word on the street is that the comic book Thanos did all this to impress a lady named Death. That's right, the power of boners made Thanos do this, and his actions make way more sense under that context than this does. Iron Man has a clear headshot, and his coldly calculating billion-dollar suit misses like a dick. Okay, fine movie. Have a sin back. Wait, why is the whole army showing up here? And now? They know there are only a few of them left, right? So what are they advancing on? Hell, I can't even see that Thanos has essentially won.
On your left.
This is the moment that got me. You can have your Avengers assemble and your Cap hammer beats, and they're great, but nothing brings the goosebumps like this subtle, humble callback that indicates the mother cavalry's coming. This is the entire movie, right here. 5 sins off. Having said that, this is what you've earned after being subjected to 2.5 hours of fuzzy time logic, overdramatic talky talk, ham-handed quips, and way too many side stories, presumably intended to set up multiple properties that can live on Disney+. This is like sitting through a concert where Hanson plays their entire back catalog, but finally pays it off by playing Mbop as the first encore. I would love to be in the planning meeting with Doctor Strange where he's arranging these entrances like he's the stage manager of a Broadway show. Okay, T'Challa, you're up, baby! Energy! Play to the back row. Now, where's Falcon? Pepper, I'm glad you're here, but you look kind of fake in that suit.
Is that everyone? Like you wanted more?
That's hilarious, but the question was, is that everyone? Not, is this the best you could do? And honestly, yes, I'd want as many as I can get.
Avengers!
Assemble.
Yes! Although, this means we're gonna get a stupid jumble of effects-driven bullshit fan service for the next several minutes before there are actual stakes involved, aren't we?
You will not believe what's been going on.
There's probably a better time to explain everything later because we're in the middle of a goddamn battle, but I wanted to make sure you didn't feel guilty about me dying anymore before you yourself die.
Cap! What do you want me to do with this damn thing? Get those stones as far away as possible! No! We need to get them back where they came from.
This might be the dumbest part of the movie, because Cap and Hulk's orders are not mutually exclusive. They should be getting the stones as far away as possible so that Thanos can't get them. And they can always take the stones back after they beat Thanos anytime they want to solve the branch reality problem.
Anyone see an ugly brown van out there?
Yes! But you're not gonna like where it's parked.
Really, Valkyrie? You can see the ugly brown van in the middle of this dark wasteland called New Jersey? Also, I understand the Avengers have little calm things constantly in their ears, but how the is Valkyrie on this frequency? And if all of them have that, how can they hear any one person talking?
If I tell you what happens, it won't happen.
This is absolutely telling him what happens. As I see Ant-Man and the Wasp smiling at each other and shrinking down, I'm once again compelled to ask why they can't fly into Thanos' ear canal or nostril, re-embiggen themselves, and explode Thanos into 100 million balanced chunks of meat.
It's dead.
Well, is there a spare rat around you could use to fire that up?
I don't know how you're gonna get it through all of that.
Really? Did you not see her pile drive a giant spaceship a minute ago? The real question is, I don't know how all that is going to get through her.
She's got help.
The sentiment comes from a good place, but this shot is patronizing in so many ways. It's like after years of not creating action figures for their characters and not making solo, female-driven stories, here's our acknowledgement of their importance. And as if all the women would suddenly show up all at once with no men. Kind of insulting. Come on, of all the scenes in the Marvel movies that don't make the power differential clear between two opponents, it's this one. Captain Marvel is world stronger than Thanos, and Thanos has taken a beating so far. See what I mean? Now he's got the glove with the stones and Marvel is doing some shield thing and somehow he is getting owned in this battle now and I don't know what to think anymore. During this struggle, Iron Man is able to remove the stones from the nanotech gauntlet. Either there was an ejector button or he pried them off. I don't know what the hell happened. It looks like the stones may have fallen off and landed on the ground, but that could just be pieces of Tony's suit for all I know. But somehow this turns into Tony having possession of the stones, no questions asked. Do they have to turn to dust if you kill a bunch of fools with the Infinity Gauntlet? Like, can you ask them to turn into something a little jazzier? Like, can confetti, or Dippin' Dots, or play slime, or something, I don't know, less dour? I guess Tony ordered up to make all the Thanos army disappear in front of Thanos before Thanos disappears, snap. If you're the Avengers, don't you get a little worried that Thanos isn't going away during all this? Whoa! How did they know to call Insidious out here? Random kid Tony ran into in Iron Man 3 got an invite to the funeral?
You know, I wish there was a way that I could let her know.
The Lord of the Rings, Return of the King was like, no one would dare do as many endings as our We tested the out of our audience's patience. Then Avengers Endgame came along and was like, hold my pin particle.
Remember, you have to return the stones to the exact moment you got them. You're going to open up a bunch of nasty alternative realities.
Which is totally impossible. How does he inject the ether back into Jane in Thor the Dark World, since it's in stone form now? Or does he even have to? Can he just lay it on her end table? The Soul Stone's return is totally ridiculous. Does he find the pool we've seen Hawkeye and Thanos bathing in? Or does he go up to the mountain and hope Red Skull is there? And what kind of reunion would that be? When he goes back to these realities, is he coming the split second they're taken? Or does he have to interact with the Avengers trying to steal them? And if the people who stole the stones aren't there, then how do the stones disappear in the first place? Also, this is beginning to sound like you could change the past if you wanted. This movie is propped up on creating alternate timelines when you go back to the past, so how can you revisit existing timelines if that's the rule? Doesn't the quantum tunnel bar you from going back to your own timeline?
And returning in 5, 4.
Why are they trying to bring him back? Isn't the important thing that they just keep the quantum tunnel open? Because, as was shown in the 2012 to 1970 jump, they don't even need this platform when they travel through time. I guess old Steve is a mystery, right? Like, did he transport here when they weren't looking? Remember, this whole time he's been living in an alternate reality where he marries Peggy, so he had to transport to get here. Or did he transport to and hide in the woods, knowing this was the day they were sending him back to replace the stones, and snuck over to the bench for a big surprise? Yeah, I'd say they stuck the landing on this. That's a good ending. I'm not made of stone.
No, it's Hill Valley, although I can't imagine hell being much worse.